Nike began as Blue Ribbon Sports with a $50 budget, but now it's the top sportswear company globally. Co-founder Phil Knight kickstarted his dream with a $50 loan, and in just over 50 years, his vision for better shoes transformed Nike into a $100+ billion global giant, making it the most valuable sports brand worldwide. Let's dive into the story of Nike's co-founder, Phil Knight, a guy who wasn't afraid to turn his wild idea into reality. We're going back to the early days of Nike to discover how the magic happened and what made them successful.
Even today, as big as Nike is with over 60,000 employees, the key thing is people.
I think in many ways the success that Nike has today really came out of the soul searching that was done in the mid-1980s when Reebok went past us. I know they asked me on one of the rare TV interviews from 25 years ago if I wanted to meet the president of Reebok, and I said no. I says I don't know him, I don't like him, and I don't want to like him. It's more than just a business. It's more than just sports. It is a mission.
Back in 1962, after finishing college at Stanford, Phil Knight felt a bit lost and unsure about his path. He took on various jobs to figure things out. It wasn't until he joined Stanford Graduate School of Business that he discovered his life's purpose, a compass that led him to create one of the world's most valuable brands. In college, Phil Knight used to be a distance runner because he loved sports. He wrote a paper during a business class with an interesting idea. He noticed Japanese cameras had replaced the dominant German cameras in the American market and wondered if Japanese shoes could also replace the popular Puma and Adidas, which were extremely popular in America at that time. Phil became obsessed with his idea about bringing Japanese shoes to the USA. Despite not owning any Japanese running shoes himself, Phil Knight had only seen a few brought to the USA by soldiers after World War II. This limited exposure convinced him of a fantastic opportunity. Knowing he needed to connect with a Japanese company and negotiate importing their high-quality and low-cost running shoes from Japan to America, which was something he had zero experience in. Phil, true to the spirit that would later create Nike, took the plunge and just did it. But because he had no funds to bring his idea to life, Phil Knight turned to his father, requesting a loan of $50. Yes, Nike began with just a $50 loan. On that morning in 1962, he told himself, "Let everyone else call your idea crazy. Just keep going. Don't stop. Don't even think about stopping until you get there." In November 1962, he took a trip to Japan, exploring like a tourist. In the lovely city of Kobe, he discovered a shoe store selling the Tiger brand running shoes that grabbed his attention. It was owned by a company called Onitsuka Tiger, producing exceptionally high-quality shoes for that era. Phil was so impressed that he was determined to bring these shoes back home by importing them. Posing as an American shoe distributor, Phil arranged a meeting with the company's founder. On the spot, he invented a company name and proposed to be Onitsuka's distributor in America, which was an offer the owner surprisingly accepted. Solely relying on his confidence, Phil became the exclusive distributor for Onitsuka Tiger in the USA. After getting his first shipment of 12 pairs of Tiger shoes in 1963, Phil began selling the Japanese shoes that he imported to America to high school students and athletes from the trunk of his car at every running track he could reach. But realizing his approach was unscalable, Phil turned to the one person he knew who understood shoes better than him, his former coach at the University of Oregon, Bill Bowerman. Bill was one of the most famous coaches in America, known for training multiple Olympic athletes, was impressed with the Tiger shoes. He liked them so much that he wanted to team up. So, Phil Knight teamed up with Bill Bowerman. And together, they started bringing his idea to life. In January 1964, Bill and Phil each invested $500 to incorporate Blue Ribbon Sports. They used all that money on their first order, 300 pairs of shoes at $3.33 each. The shipment arrived in April 1964, sold out by July due to Bill's connections. They began selling more and more shoes. Blue Ribbon Sports made $8,000 in shoe sales in the first year, allowing Phil to hire salesmen. By 1965, revenue rose to $20,000, and they soon opened their own store in Santa Monica. In 1966, Bill Bowerman was the guy who single-handedly brought jogging and innovation to America. While Phil Knight managed the business side, Bill wrote a book about jogging that sold over 1 million copies. At that time, their company was among the first to begin marketing Tiger shoes for jogging. Bowerman, driven by innovation, would eagerly inspect each new shipment from Onitsuka. He'd cut open a few shoes to understand their construction, consistently seeking ways to enhance them, whether by improving cushioning or incorporating lighter materials. He regularly sent his notes to Japan, effectively contributing to the design of Onitsuka's shoes. The Cortez, which was designed by Bill, became a massive success for Blue Ribbon Sports, propelling them into the mainstream. In 1969, thanks to the Cortez, Blue Ribbon Sports achieved sales of $300,000. But things got really hard. Their significant issue was that the Cortez's success led to overwhelming demand. Each new shipment sold out faster than the previous one, yet Onitsuka continued sending them at the same slow pace. In reality, Onitsuka prioritized meeting local demand in Japan and only sent whatever was left over to America. This issue led to a major financial problem. His company faced constant challenges due to consistently delayed shipments from Japan, making banks reluctant to provide the needed loan. So, he spent years pleading with multiple banks, seeking just one more loan each month, with his dream teetering on the edge of failure. Knowing they needed to grow beyond being just as simple distributors, Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman decided to form their own company and started their own line of shoes. Phil and Bill recognized a crucial fact: the Cortez was Bowerman's design. They held all the cards. Once their contract with Onitsuka ended, they could start producing it independently. In 1971, Phil began the branding process. His initial employee proposed naming the brand Nike, inspired by the Greek goddess of victory. To create a logo, Phil recruited a graphic design student from a nearby university and asked her to make one. For $35, he got the iconic swoosh, what would eventually become one of the most recognizable logos in the world.
I've got here what I've been told is the original waffle shoe. What is the significance of this Nike shoe right here?
This was the shoe that really put Nike on the map.
Who designed the swoosh?
A graphic artist at Portland State University.
Wow.
And, yeah. We paid her $35, $2 an hour. It's been easily worth it. But when we went public, we gave her 500 shares of stock, and she hasn't sold a single share, and they are now worth $1 million.
With his branding now finished, Phil was prepared for the Olympics. Phil avoided exclusive agreements this time and, instead, set up a network of subcontractors across Japan. With production now in his hands, Phil could expand freely. Nike's story turned into one of growth from that point onward. By 1989, they had become the largest sportswear company in America, thanks to brilliant marketing initiatives like the Just Do It campaign and signing rookie athletes who would later achieve global fame. So, the brand that started with a loan of only $50 transformed into the world's richest and most valuable sports brand. Nike now proudly stands as the largest sportswear giant globally. Phil Knight's persistent hard work and years of struggle turned his once crazy idea into a remarkable reality. Either I will find a way or I will make one.